Hi guys, welcome back to Cara's Kitchen Cooking. Today we're making a pasta recipe. I love pasta, and I know a lot of you out there love pasta as well. So we're going to be doing a pasta with homemade ricotta, asparagus, and roasted cherry tomatoes with a touch of pesto. You don't have to make the ricotta, okay? But I am going to show you if you want to try it sometime. Homemade ricotta is very versatile. You can use it savory or you can use it in dessert. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to get your bowl ready with cheesecloth, because once the mixture is ready to strain, that has to be ready to go. So you want to grab a nice big bowl or even a saucepan, a fine mesh strainer, and then some cheesecloth. I'm going to wet it and it's just easier to manipulate when it's wet. Makes your job a little easier. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is sort of slightly damp, squeeze out the excess, and then you just drape it over your strainer, like so. Because we're going to be pouring in our ricotta mixture in there, okay? This recipe is not vegan, and it's not dairy-free. Now, I can have dairy once in a while. I have a casein allergy, so not lactose, but casein. So this recipe, the process of making ricotta, it actually separates the casein. So those with the casein sensitivity can have homemade ricotta. I'm going to show you this really cool milk that I have. So you can find this in Sobeys. You can find this at Foodland. We found it at Loblaws. It's called A2 milk, and this is milk that is lower in casein. The white and brown cows that produce most of our milk in North America, they produce milk that's very high in casein. And there's a lot of the cows in Europe and some cows in Canada, the all brown cows, the Jersey cows, they produce a milk that is actually naturally lower in the casein protein that's hard to digest. So from time to time I treat myself, and I can have some of this yummy milk in a coffee, or I make homemade ice cream with it. It's a great alternative. So here we go. So we have here 2 cups of heavy cream. We're going to add to that 4 cups of whole milk of choice. So you can use regular milk. I'm using the A2 milk. So far, it's pretty simple, guys. Then you're going to add a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so I'm just going to stir this up to combine. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my burner on and put it to like about a 6.5 or so, and we're going to be stirring this occasionally. We want the mixture to come to a rolling boil. I said that wrong. Rolling boil. Okay, so we're just gonna let that be for a minute. Now watch with milk. You can step away for a second and that stuff can boil right over in no time at all. So keep your eye on it. Starting to get close. To see how it looks a little foamy, and there's a couple little bubbles on the surface, and you can see the bubbles at the sides. I'm just going to mix it. Show you. You can see also steam coming off of it. We are almost there. This is it. Now we're going to turn it off. We're going to take it off the heat before it boils over. All right, you see that? Okay, now at this point we are adding 3 tablespoons of, I have here wine vinegar. But regular white old vinegar will do. You don't need fancy here. The wine vinegar just gives it a little extra flavor, but regular white vinegar works just fine. And I think I've also done it with apple cider vinegar, and that works as well. So guys, you see that acid, what it's doing, see how it's getting a little curdled? So we're going to leave that off the heat. To have that separation occur even more. And I like to leave it for 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. Come and take a look and see how it's changed. Look at that, guys. That's what you want. That is the ricotta. That's the goodness. Okay, we're going to come back to our prepped strainer with dampened cheesecloth and our bowl underneath. And we're going to carefully pour, and it's steamy hot, all of this awesome ricotta. In we go. So now all you have to do is let that strain. I tend to kind of check on it every once in a while and empty the liquid that's in the bottom. If you have a deep enough bowl, you don't have to do that. You can just leave it there. So we're going to leave that drain for 30 minutes for a kind of looser ricotta. And if you want a little firmer, I would suggest letting it strain for 45. So like I said before, you don't have to make your own ricotta. You can buy perfectly wonderful ricotta in the grocery store. Okay. And also what you can do is you could, if you want to make it the day before and have it in the fridge. So supper time prep is really quick. Okay. This recipe does not take long to do. And in the time it takes for you to boil the water, put the pasta in and for it to cook, everything else will be ready. Especially if you've A, made your ricotta the night before, or B, bought your ricotta from the grocery store. Those of you that have made your ricotta on the day, I would start the water with where you have 15 minutes left on your straining of your ricotta. Okay, so come and see. You want to fill a pot, a nice deep pot, lots of water in it. And we're going to turn this on. I'm going to put it on high because we want it to really be boiling. Now, there is not controversy, but like a debate. Do we put olive oil in the water? Do we put salt? Do we put both olive oil and salt? So one of my Italian friends told me, turn the water on, bring it to a boil, and then add your salt. Let it dissolve a little bit, and then put the pasta in. Because he told me the olive oil doesn't really keep the pasta from sticking. It's the water and the salt and the really, really hot temperature. So that's how we're going to do it today. I'm using gluten-free pasta. Gluten-free pasta usually takes longer to cook. This is the brand that I'm using. It's a really lovely Italian brand, and it's a blend of corn and rice. I find that gives the best kind of tooth feeling, and also that combination, it doesn't stick. I find the pure rice pasta tends to really stick a lot, especially the spaghetti. This is linguine, but you can use spaghetti as well, okay? So once that water is boiling, we're gonna add it in. And I have found with gluten-free pasta, the magic number for me in my kitchen with my stove and burner is 13 minutes. So we're going to prep our asparagus and our cherry tomatoes, and it's pretty easy. All right, so you're gonna wanna take your asparagus. And remember what I talked about before? If you take an asparagus and you break it, this is the woody part, so it'll break at the most tender part. And I think that's about 2 inches. So if you don't want to break every single asparagus, then what you can do is you can take a knife, line them all up, and kind of, guesstimate a little bit on that. All right, I'm gonna chop these up into 3 sections. Put them on my cookie sheet. Okay, I'm moving over here so you can see. All right, so there they are. And then this is just like a pint or like a container of cherry tomatoes that I pre-washed, and we're going to dump those on as well. Okay. Then we're going to take some lovely olive oil and sprinkle that on. I would not use extra virgin for this. I would use like a regular olive oil because it does have a higher smoking point. We are going to crack some wonderful freshly ground black pepper. Okay. Then I'm just taking some Maldon salt. I'm not going to use all of this, but again, I love feeling it between my fingers, and we're just gonna sprinkle that over. Doesn't that look beautiful, those colors? Simple flavors, guys. Try and find the best ingredients you can, and especially when making something that doesn't have a lot of ingredients. The better the ingredients, the better the taste. Okay, so we could stop there, but if you wanna bump it up in terms of the flavor quotient, you could then drizzle a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I think I'm going to do that. Let's go get it. All right, I'm using a really good quality balsamic vinegar from Modena. That's where a lot of balsamic vinegar is made. When you buy balsamic vinegar, read the ingredients. You don't want to see color or caramel in it. You don't want to see any of those ingredients. It should just stay acid. Oh, this is in Italian. Here it is, vinegar. No, that's French. They have every language on here but the English. Just look for the word caramel. Okay, you don't want caramel in your balsamic vinegar. You want the pure stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of this amazingly flavorful. You don't need a lot when you have a really good quality vinegar, okay? Right, then I'm just gonna use our best tools, our hands. My hands are clean. I washed them before the episode. And we're just gonna mix those up. Making sure we're getting all the olive oil and salt and pepper and balsamic coated on all the veg. Okay. And we're gonna make sure everything's laying flat. And then we are going to put it into a preheated oven at 400 for 8 minutes. Okay, so the timer's gone off. It's been 8 minutes. Let's check on the asparagus and cherry tomatoes. Oh, that's perfect. Wonderful. See how their skin is just starting to sort of blister and pop open a little bit? That is perfection. And the asparagus, let me get a fork. So it's a little al dente. It's fork tender. I like mine a little bit more toothsome. If you want to control that, what you could do is put 2 pans in. You could put the cherry tomatoes in one pan and the asparagus in the other, and take the cherry tomatoes out at 8 minutes. And then if you want to have your asparagus be a little bit softer, then you could just leave it in a little bit longer, okay? Guys, it's been only 23 minutes, and I feel like, come take a look and see how this looks. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful and soft. To me, that is perfection in terms of the texture. Look guys, look at all the liquid that is drained from it. Don't throw that out. That has a lot of nutrients in it. And you know me, I don't like to waste anything. So that liquid can be put in stews. It can be, you can use it to cook pasta in it. I mean, you could even put it in a shake. It keeps for 3 days in the fridge covered. So don't throw it out. All right, so we're going to put this aside. And we have a container here ready. And this is the part that, you know, oh yeah, just do it carefully. There you go. Oh yeah, that always happens. So you can kind of just carefully, just judiciously get it in the container. Ooh, that's perfect. Look at that coming out. I'm going to just scrape the bit of that because I do not want to waste any of it. All of that goodness. Okay, so our ricotta is ready. It has a gentle sweetness to it, like a creamy sweetness. It's lovely. So this is really versatile. Like I said before, you can use it in this recipe, and that's savory, or you can put some aside and then add honey to it and put it on your toast in the morning. Yum. Over pancakes and waffles. Yum. So versatile. Water is at a roiling boil. I never say that right. I'm going to add the salt in. Mix around, give it a little mix. Okay. I'm adding the pasta. Like I said, I'm using a gluten-free pasta. And I find with gluten-free, so far, the magic number is 13 minutes. Okay. Now, if you're using regular pasta, please read the directions on the box, and then it should tell you how long to cook the pasta. Okay. I'm not sure if you know this, but a good way to prevent the water from boiling over is putting a wooden spoon over the top. Let's strain our pasta. Be very careful. The water is hot. I have my oven mitts on. Just going to carefully strain. Woo, I'm getting a facial at the same time. There it is. All right, wonderful. Okay, now this is where it all goes really fast, guys. So, we add the pasta to our bowl. We add all of those yummy roasted vegetables, tomato and the asparagus, and then we also added a little bit of balsamic to give it a little extra flavor pop. Okay, don't worry if the olive oil goes in there with it because it's just going to add to the sauce and the balsamic. I'm just going to mix this a little bit together. Ooh, that's nice and loose. Lovely. You know I'm all about flavor pops, so we're going to add a little bit of this pesto in with the pasta. Now, if you don't have a homemade pesto at home, again, you can buy one from the grocery store. But if you want to learn how to make your own, go back and visit my first episode, Pork Belly BLTs, where I show you how to make a vegan pesto. This is the vegan pesto. So I'm going to start with like a teaspoon, or, oh, that's more like a tablespoon. And I'm just going to mix it together. I think I'm going to add just a tad more. I'm going to add some freshly ground pepper. And just a very small pinch of salt. We can always add more salt. If something is too salty, you can't fix it really. It's hard to fix an overly salty thing. Oh my goodness. Do you see that? Gorgeous, gorgeous. Ah, okay. I'm going to get a plate and we're going to plate up. And that's when we add the ricotta. So remember when I said to keep that liquid from the ricotta in the fridge and cover it, and to use it in your sauces and your soups, and if you want to thin this out a little bit. If you have a casein sensitivity like I do, you would not use that because that's where the casein goes, okay? So casein allergy people, don't use that liquid. Everybody else, feel free. Okay, let's try and make this look pretty because you know, oh, well, there we lost a pasta. I'm all about pretty, and also sometimes, I don't know, this happens every single time I mix up pasta. You know, it's the things stay in the bowl and it's hard to get, you know, pieces of tomato, and so we're just gonna take some and place some, okay? So we have enough, so make sure we have lots of tomatoes on our plate and lots of yummy asparagus. I think my friend Tammy used to call it asparagus. Was it her or was it Jen? One of them, or maybe both. Now we're going to add the ricotta. So you know how I like to make things look pretty. I'm gonna just take this little, there we go. Perfect, no one needs to know. All right, here's our ricotta. Oh my God. So unctuous, guys. This is a treat. Okay, I think it looks pretty. I'm gonna add a little bit of extra pepper. Doesn't that look fantastic? So good, so good. And if you want it just a little bit more juicy, you can drizzle some olive oil on top. Not a lot, just a little. It can make a big difference in presentation. So I'm just gonna drizzle like a very small amount, okay? This will add to the sauce as well, and it just makes a huge difference. There you have it. Homemade ricotta, spring asparagus, cherry tomatoes, gluten-free pasta, and homemade pesto sauce. I'm gonna take a bite. I'm gonna show you how beautifully creamy and unctuous this is. I like to use a spoon. I find it's the only way I can roll my pasta properly. I'm gonna see if I can get the perfect bite. A little bit of asparagus, a tomato, oh my goodness, some ricotta. Okay, very carefully now. It's so creamy. The tomato burst in my mouth. It was like this most beautiful sweet juice. The asparagus is cooked perfectly. It is not too soft and it's not too hard. That's perfection, guys. You gotta try it. Before I go, another thing. If you've been liking and enjoying my videos, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. See you next time.